Well, hello, everyone. This is Conversations Under the Canopy. My name is Roberto Chacon. A couple housekeeping items. This is being recorded, and after the webinar, there will be a survey, and we'll follow up with the deck. And today, we're going to talk about organizational support from Canopy. And I have here with me Dave Christie, who is the Vice President of Clinical Operations for Canopy. Dave is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and he has over 15 years of experience as a clinician and as a leadership and management consultant, specializing in work engagement and mental health in the workplace. And so Dave will go over a few of our services and tell us a little bit about what we do to support organizations. And we'll have some time at the end for questions if there are any. So welcome, Dave.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So can you tell us, Dave, a bit about Canopy's leadership support? I know there's kind of organization support, leadership support. Tell us a bit about organization support.
Yeah,
I mean, leadership
absolutely.
support, sorry.
No problem. I'm happy to talk about either. For leadership support, we want to make sure that leaders are in a position to not only get the help that they need for their employees, for their staff, but also get the services that they need to be more effective. Because as we were talking about just before we started, being in leadership, being in management, supervising staff, it's a very different skill set. So we are poised to support that as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go, but unlimited management consultations, that is truly unlimited and 24/7. So we have staff who can consult with managers on workplace wellness, employee engagement, how to get the most out of benefits, how to make a referral, all sorts of topics, how to leverage our services, basically, and get the support that they need. Performance-based referrals, we can talk a little bit more about that process as well. But that is a process where we will guide an employee through the process of getting an assessment for any sort of topics that may be impacting performance and productivity in the workplace. So we will see what they need to be successful, and we will either give them those services if they are services that we offer directly, or guide them to those services if it's something kind of outside of our umbrella of benefits. But either way, we track it to make sure that they are following through, doing what they need to do so that their performance can be what it needs to be.
Do you have an example of maybe one that you did where, without identifying?
Yeah, of course. I'll speak a little bit more generally because I think that may be a little more helpful. One of the things that comes up pretty commonly is substance abuse or questions around substance abuse. So some workplaces have a pretty tight policy with clear expectations for having employees do UAs or like reasonable suspicion policies and procedures. Others have not had it come up, and they're not used to it. And so they may need a little guidance with what do we do if we suspect that there is some use going on.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a case where, we do not do the full substance treatment under Canopy, but we'll assess, kind of hear what's happening. And if they do need treatment, we will not only help them find a place to get that treatment, but then we stay in touch with the treatment facility, staying on top of that employee's progress throughout.
Okay. Yeah.
Another common example is anger management. If there's anger or aggression in the workplace, we'll meet with that employee, make a plan for addressing what's going on, because anger can come from a whole lot of places. So we'll try to quickly get at what are some of the roots of this and work on the psychological sort of assistance that somebody might need. And then the behavioral management skills, because the performance expectation, right, is to get along, be a contributing member of the team.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. How
Of
about on
course.
the management consultations? Do you have a example of a management consultation? I know there's lots of different topics that are discussed.
Yeah, yeah. And that one really can be open-ended. A really good example, mental health comes up a lot. Employee engagement comes up a lot in these management consultations.
Hmm.
One example that stands out pretty recently, um, we had a manager call us. They had been just doing a regular check-in with an employee, and throughout the course of this, um, they were surprised to find that there was a lot of suicidal ideation going on with this team member. So they called and consulted with our staff on, what can we do? What should we do to support this person? How do we make sure that this individual is safe? How do we leverage the benefits with Canopy to get this person some assistance? So all of those things we could talk through, help them make a plan,
Okay.
make sure that that employee is getting care that they need, and move pretty quickly on supporting that individual.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's move on to organizational support. Can you tell us a bit about what Canopy does to support HR and organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is another area where we have 24/7 access. One of the bigger services that we do, more common services, are critical incident response. This can look like a lot of things, but in short, if there is a critical incident, say the death of a staff member, or a traumatizing event at work, or right now we're getting a lot of requests for dramatic events that are happening in society that are impacting us as secondary trauma, vicarious trauma. So
Mm-hmm.
what we'll do is we'll have a facilitator go debrief that critical incident with a group of affected individuals, or we can go do one-on-one immediate support for people,
Mm-hmm.
confidential setting, just have them have quick and easy access to a grief counselor or trauma counselor.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
the orientations, we just like to talk to people about our benefits, because we find that if people know about our benefits, know about what we offer, they
Mm-hmm.
have an easier time accessing them, and it just makes sense. A lot of people know about these sort of services for the behavioral health, mental health aspect, but there's a wide range of offerings that help the work-life balance, help the stress management. So things like legal and financial
Mm-hmm.
support. It's really important that people know about that and know how easy it is to access.
Okay. Great.
We also put on a number of seminars for mental and behavioral health related topics, workplace wellness topics, and we have HR webinars that we can do, because HR people, one of the common feedback pieces that we get is that HR are frequently put into a position where they're being asked to respond to or speak about mental health without necessarily having the training for it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are happy to provide a series of HR continuing education credits for mental health related topics. So you can confidently address some things with some actual training without
Mm-hmm.
having to feel like you're being put on the spot to be the counselor in the room.
Okay. Great. Hey, when we go to the next slide here, and just
Mhm.
now you want to talk just a little bit about crisis support a little bit more. I think it's interesting that from pre-pandemic to now, the number of crisis support cases that Canopy has supported organizations in has gone up 90% in that period of time. But I wonder if you can just
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about the crisis support, since there is such an interest in that.
Absolutely. What we've heard from our groups and what we've seen kind of circulating is there's been a much greater awareness of this. A lot of times people didn't really know what to ask or what was available.
Mm-hmm.
So around this time, the graphic that you have there is really telling. Around this time, around the beginning of the pandemic, people just started asking, do you have any services? And we had, of course, already been doing critical incident response for a number of years. But it was more of the one-off kind of unique cases, like a death of a longtime employee. And now I think the increase is people recognizing how this can be used for more, unfortunately, more common traumatic experiences that we've all witnessed.
Mhm.
So just highlighting a few things that you have there on the slide. We do have 24/7 access and support because critical incidents don't just happen during the daytime, during business
Mhm.
hours. And it doesn't just happen for team members who work 8 to 5 office jobs. So
Mhm.
we've had situations where it's a very early morning shift that needs some support, or swing shift or graveyard, and uh, we can find facilitators who can get there and do that work, whether it's a medical team in an emergency department,
Mhm.
or manufacturing on a late night shift. And of course, you'll want to consult with us about that, because a lot of questions come up because no two incidents are the same.
Mhm.
So we will consult with management about what's going on, help make a plan for whether we do need to come on site or do a virtual debrief, whether it needs to be one-on-one or a group setting. Or many times it's just a matter of promoting services. Sometimes we'll find in talking with folks that the group is probably okay. They just need to know who to call when they're
Mhm.
not.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you for that, and
Of course.
thank you for all the information. It's amazing how much Canopy does to support HR and leaders. I'm wondering if the audience has any questions. If you could type it into chat, we can read those off, and Dave can answer. Give you just a moment. And while people are hopefully typing, I do want to let you know about the next conversation, which will be on June 30th. We're going to talk about mental health first response, which is Canopy's proprietary program to help leaders and employees recognize and support employees that may be in need. So, do we have any questions from the audience? Doesn't look like we have anything. So stop recording here. So